Hello everyone and welcome to another Multifamily Monday. My name is Jesse Grin. I'm the Vice President of Avison Young Multifamily and Investment Division. And today I'm at the Washoe County Assessor's Office as video number 3 of a 3-part series that we've been conducting. And I'm excited today because I have Cori Burke. Welcome.
Thank you.
And Rigo Lopez.
Thank you.
Rigo, thank you. So Cori, you are the Chief Deputy Assessor.
Correct.
What does that mean?
That means that I oversee the entire office.
Okay.
We have a staff of 62, so it's high-level management over
Fantastic.
3 divisions.
Wow. And it sounds like you've been in the assessor, or at least a part of real estate, for quite some time. Tell me a little bit about your history.
So I started at the state of Nevada, Department of Taxation. I was there for a few years, and I've been with Washoe County Assessor's Office since 2000.
Fantastic.
And I was an appraiser, then senior appraiser, and then about 4 years ago became chief deputy.
Wow. So you've pretty much seen everything in this market. It's
We
been
have seen
quite
everything.
dynamic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Amazing. And we're also joined today, like I said, with Rigo Lopez. Rigo, now you are the chief appraiser of the Washoe County Assessor. Tell me what that means and a little bit about yourself as well.
Okay, very good. I am the chief property appraiser for real and personal property, also our costing division. And yeah, we probably have 20 some odd appraisers, senior appraisers as well. And so what I do is I oversee probably a staff of 35, 40 or somewhere in there. Our job here for the appraisers on the real property side, even personal property, is to discover, list, and value all property that is taxable, even exempt property. We have all that on our tax rolls. We have over 182,000 parcels here in Washoe County, and we do reappraise those parcels every year. We are in an annual reappraisal, and it is definitely interesting and a very good job. I love my job, I really do.
That is amazing. Between the amount of work that you two have and the amount of staff that you oversee, I'm sure it's never a dull moment.
That is correct.
That is correct. Absolutely.
Well, let's dive into the reason why we're here talking today. You know, it's fascinating. As I mentioned beforehand, this is part of a 3-part series, which I find very unique to some issues that we're having right now in the marketplace. And we've had a chance to talk to Angela Foose at the planning department. We had a chance to talk to Chris Pingree over in building and safety about this idea of discrepancy in units for multifamily. And a lot of time these discrepancies can be found in maybe some of the older stock of Reno Sparks as well. And really what we're trying to do as overall agencies to solve this problem. So as an example, we might have someone that shows an assessed 8 unit, but let's say, for example, what we say here, the building and safety manager might show it as a 6 unit. I mean, there's these types of discrepancies that we're dealing with, which can be huge when it comes to an investor standpoint. So if you wouldn't mind maybe diving into really kind of where we're at in this position and some of the items we're looking to do to resolve it.
Okay. So the most important thing to keep in mind is the assessor is required to value in use. So it doesn't matter if it's legal or not. If it's physically there on July 1st, we pick it up.
Okay.
So if there are 8 units there are 8 units on our record.
Got it. So I think what's interesting, what you two mentioned beforehand when we started this, is that the Washoe County Assessor is not necessarily an enforcement agency.
Correct.
Right? Your requirement is to assess what's on site, either real or personal, correct? Interesting. Okay.
That is correct. We truly view our taxpayers here in Washoe County as part of our QC as well, Jesse. Every year we mail out assessment notices in November, December. That gives you the value for your land, value for your improvements, and that value then goes into effect as of July 1 of the following year, because our fiscal year runs from July 1 to June 30th. So a lot of times we'll get calls and they'll and I'm not saying it happens every time.
Sure.
Property owners interested in putting their house on the market, their multifamily unit on the market, they look at our records and say, you know what, you have me down for 24, I really have 26. Can you please come out, verify that we truly have 26 and correct the record? So we will go out there and truly verify the number of units that are out there. Again, to your point earlier, we are not the enforcing agency, we are not the building department inspectors, but we truly go out there, we verify how many units are there, and we're going to correct our records as what is on site as of that date when we go out and inspect the property.
For example, let's say a client has an issue with their property, right? And let's say, for example, that they have, we'll call it 10 units, okay? But in the assessor, it's only showing as 8 units. What is the steps needed to take to get from the assessor's perspective from 8 to 10 units?
That takes a phone call.
Just a phone call?
Just a phone call.
Really?
We'll send the appraiser assigned to the neighborhood out.
Okay. So there's really no additional fees when it comes to getting that correctly assessed to the right unit count.
No.
Fascinating.
Yep.
But one thing to keep in mind is that when it does go up to that correct unit count, you'll be assessed for those 2 extra units, which, might increase property taxes a little bit, but that's it.
That is correct.
Fascinating.
Yeah, that's great. And not to say that it always happens whenever a property owner is going to list it for sale.
Sure.
Because typically we don't
But
really hear
usually.
from them, but usually a lot of times that is when we do hear from property owners is they want to put it on the market. Okay, you're going to get a lot more money for a 10 unit than you are for an 8 or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So then we do hear from them. But again, to my point earlier, the public is really good about looking at their values, comparing it to the neighbors or what have you, and say, wait a minute, mine seems an awful lot higher.
Sure.
Than a very similar home to mine across the street or in the neighborhood. Mistakes happen. We realize that, but we're ready to correct them and make them right. We've had sometimes where we had maybe the wrong model on a certain property. So
Okay.
we'll go back, look at it. Remember, we're dealing with 182,000 parcels every year.
Yeah.
The number of permits, at least as of today, continues to increase because of all the construction that's
Absolutely.
going on in our county. And but again, we want to make it right. We want to make sure our records are correct. And our goal at the end of the day is to treat everybody fair and equitable. If again, we value what is there. That is our responsibility. That's what we strive to do the best we can.
That's wonderful. And when it comes to making the change on the tax roll, I mean, how long does that typically take once that phone call's made, maybe paperwork submitted? I mean, is it a week process, a month process?
So it depends on the time of year because there are times when our roll is closed.
Okay.
And we can't change anything. But in general, and especially when it's involving a real estate deal, sometimes escrows are being held up. We try and get it done within the same week. Many times our appraisers will even go out the very next day.
Yeah.
And then it takes another 24 hours for our website to correctly reflect
Got
the
it.
changes. So we do try to
Got
be
it.
responsive.
So the moral of the story is don't wait till the last minute if you're selling your building to get it checked out and verified, right? Even though the assessor does a great job of really getting that into place and into position quickly.
Correct.
Yeah.
The other thing to keep in mind is our website is very, very good.
Yeah.
It's the most hit in the county and the most well-liked in the state, but it's not gospel. It's what we believe is there, but we do mass appraisal. So just because it says it doesn't mean it's true. We'll do our best to correct it if we're notified.
And I think that's a fair point because a lot of people that come into this market that might not be familiar with the market, that's the first place they're going to go is the Washoe County Assessor. They're going to try to make sure that everything that's being listed on a particular property is correct via the assessor.
Correct.
Right? And I think one thing to point out, which you mentioned earlier, is the website isn't the end all. And there is a disclaimer that's updated on there, right, to check with other city agencies as well.
Yes.
But I mean, at the end of the day, you have to do your due diligence, right?
Yes.
You have to get out there. You have to talk to the building department. You have to talk to the planner in addition to the Washoe County Assessor, which is huge.
Yes.
You know? Now, it sounds like with the discrepancy in units and some of the preliminary conversations we had with different agencies, there's more of an effort to coalesce the different, agencies that are a part of this and really start to work more in tandem. Tell me maybe a little bit more about that.
That's true. We all attended a meeting and there's been discussion about communicating more between the agencies. So if we find something, we can let the planning department know. They're good about letting us know if something's permitted. We get all the building permits every month. So
Interesting.
we
Okay.
find out from their perspective regularly,
Yeah.
but they don't necessarily find out from ours when we're actually out in the field and discovering things.
Got it. Rigo, what are some of the examples that you came across lately with this type of issue?
They vary. They do vary from time to time. The one that does come to mind recently, probably within the last 6 months, is I had a property owner call us, and we had on our record we had it as a duplex.
Okay.
2 units. So they wanted us to go out, take a look at it. So we did. We went out. We verified it. It was a single-family residence in South Reno. The top part was being rented. The lower unit was being rented as well.
Okay.
Well, come to find out, the owner of that property then took out a building permit because they wanted to do some improvements to the lower level. City of Reno got involved at that time, and come to find out that lower unit was truly not legally permitted, and the
Fascinating.
work that took place was not allowed. So the individual that had recently purchased it, and that's why he was trying to make some upgrades to it.
I see.
And at the end of the day, what happened was that was reverted back to a single-family residence. On our end, again, we value what's there.
Sure.
It was truly being utilized, and again, value and use, as Cori pointed earlier, as a duplex, 2 units. But once the City of Reno got involved, and I think the owner was gonna try to take the steps to truly correct it, to see if he could get it as a duplex. Haven't heard anything back from them to this point, but we ended up adjusting our records
Yeah.
as a single-family residence because that's what it truly was.
Yeah. And keep in mind, audience, as well, you know, to Rigo's point, their agency isn't the agency to help remediate that, right? Your agency is just to verify 1 or 2 units. So in other words, this individual would have to go through the planning department and the building and safety department, and then eventually it'll make its way back to you,
That's
correct?
right.
Okay. Well, it sounds like some great steps are being taken to help remediate this issue, and I think this is something that's very important for either existing owners or prospective owners to know, because this truly is an issue that we're seeing in this market. And primarily, would you say midtown, maybe some of the older stock is where a lot of this issue is being seen?
I would say Old Northwest.
Old Northwest as well?
Midtown.
Okay, yeah,
Yes, around the college, definitely.
yeah, amazing.
Lots of garages that are being rented
Yeah,
around the
there are.
university.
There are, and it's amazing too, because when we talk with Chris, you know, you talk about safety, right?
Mhm.
And you talk about the issues associated with basements, with garages, and you know, people need to realize that safety is the utmost importance of, you know, why we're here and why we're doing this.
Exactly.
You know?
That's a great point, Jesse, and I'm glad that you brought that up because, again, on our end, to anybody, safety should be priority number 1. So
Yeah.
even though we value what's there, we absolutely want to work with whether that's City of Reno, Washoe County, City of Sparks, to make sure that they are aware of where we are going out to inspect properties, because we received a phone call. How many times do you hear on the evening news of certain things happening because the safety measures were not in place?
Sure.
So,
Sure.
absolutely, we're here to help the public, to help wherever we can.
Fantastic. Well, Cori, Rigo, I really appreciate your time today. Thank you for your insight, and I look forward to continuing this conversation as we get to some sort of, you know, conclusion or solution to the issue at hand. So thank you again.
Thank you.
All right.
So if someone were to want to get a hold of the Washoe County Assessor or have any issues like this that they want to present to any one of your appraisers, how do they go about doing that?
So they would call our main line, which is 328-2200.
Correct.
328-2200. Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you, Rigo.
All right, Jesse, thank you.
Have a great day.
You too, thank you.